Please join me, ladies and gentlemen, in welcoming Jean-Claude.
Thank you. Mic is on. Thank you, sir. Good evening, Johannesburg. Do we still have energy in the house? Good. I know it's been a long day and a lot of presentation. And I need to tell you something. I'm a bit upset about something. 6 months ago, I was invited here for the CIO Summit, and I was the main keynote speaker. And today, I'm the last one on the menu. And frankly, I don't know how to read this. Maybe I have to pay for some of my previous sins on stage. And the marketing team did a cracking job of letting me believe they wanted to leave the best for the end, for sure. All right, so the whole discussion today was about digital transformation and digital strategy. And I'm going to take you through what I believe is one of the most important components in a digital strategy. Because by now, you should know that the most important asset in a digital strategy is no longer, how many warehouses you have or how many cows you have, but it is your data. And where does data reside? In our red stack. But you're going to tell me, hey, man, it's right at the bottom of the stack. Well, it's at the bottom of the stack for a very good reason. When things are at the bottom of a stack, it's the foundation. And the foundation has to be absolutely rock solid. Else, the whole thing collapses. So let's get started here. And like in every Oracle presentation, we need to throw this safe harbor statement. And they asked me to read it for you for compliancy reasons. So basically, what it says is, I'm responsible for what I say, not what you understand. So don't put the blame on me. This is basically what this convoluted legal wording is all about. I hope I would see one day, the day where we'll be able to take all our legal people and put them in sales, just for 1 week, so that you, our customers, can have a go at them. Yeah, you can clap. We're on the same boat here. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to start by taking you through a new concept at Oracle called Application Engineered Storage, AES. Yes, another acronym. I didn't make it up. But you start to see that there is a consistency in the way we solve problems at Oracle through this deep engineering approach, which we piloted with engineered systems 6 years ago. And remember, in those days, the hardware vendors said, well, it's a software house. They have no idea what they do. And you look at the success that we have on engineered systems today. It is one of the fastest growing business inside of Oracle. But a lot of customers are not prepared to do that deep vertical integration that is required within engineered systems. So basically, we took the next step and started to engineer a stack from the application down to the storage, and at least give you a benefit of a consolidation and an integration between our software and our storage stack. And you know what? Now we have the storage guys laughing at us. But we like that. We like to be underestimated. We have a track record of being underestimated by the market. Let me give you an example. You remember this guy, Mr. Truncat? When we acquired BEA, he said, maybe one day we can buy hardware from Oracle. Well, let me tell you something, pussy man. Maybe you should be following Friskies, because they are much more predictable than Oracle. All right, so we are doing a comeback into this market, and we're not going to win the battle by mimicking somebody else's strategy. We're going to do things slightly differently from the others, because we have something that is fairly unique. And so we're going to beat this game at being smarter than the others. We're going to use something that is different at Oracle to beat this game. Because the differentiation is the fact that we have a software house. And there is a lot of benefit of doing this integration between the software stack and the infrastructure. Just to give you an idea, 40% of the storage that is used today in EMEA is used on Oracle workloads, 40%. If we can gain back that market share, we're going to be golden. And that's what we are after. And the analysts have understood this. They are talking about application-aware storage. Now, application-aware storage, that's us. There's nobody else that can claim that because nobody else has application and storage inside of the same R&D house. So we live in a data-hungry society today. You all know that. It seems that everything we do in life has to end up with a selfie on Facebook. Check this, and mine is better than yours. Okay? But there is more to it. There is also the Internet of Things. You heard about all those different sensors that are spitting gazillions of data. Let's take the example of the latest BMW car. This car alone will spit 1 petabyte of data every day. Not the one car, the whole car range will use or consume 1 petabyte of data every day. You very quickly understand that there's no way you can continue to manage storage the way you did it in the past. So you have this explosion of data, but at the same time, the resources, there's not enough resources available to manage this explosion of data. So how are you going to handle this problem? Very simple. You're going to have to do this through automation, because that's the only way around. Even if you can afford it, people are not around to manage this amount of storage. And you need to be careful also when you start to procure storage, because I see a lot of tenders coming up and say, well, we would like to have the best price of a petabyte. You need to understand that the hardware is only 1/3 of the cost. 2/3 is labor intensive. So if you do automation and you try to reduce that 2/3, big savings that is attached to it. There's another point where we start to see that storage is becoming the biggest bottleneck in an IT stack. Because we have made the CPUs go faster and faster with multi-core technology and socket, multi-socket, etc., and server virtualization. But the storage has not evolved massively. It still spins roughly at the same speed. So basically what you have is you have the CPU going, can I have my data? And then the storage is going like, what? I don't hear it very well. Well, listen, I'm sitting idle. Are you blind and deaf? Give me my data, please. So we solved that problem with Exadata. So we took a network node, a compute node, and a storage node, and we engineered it together to get rid of those performance bottlenecks. But let's be clear, only 10% of the workloads run on Exadata today. The majority is still sitting on conventional systems that are not optimized for Oracle workloads. And that's kind of the very big difference between an engineered approach and an assembled approach. An engineered approach is you do this deep integration between the different layers of the stack, and you create an incremental set of benefit that you can translate into a superior SLA, superior performance, or superior TCO for the customer. Compared to an assembly where you take a bunch of components and you glue them together, and you end up losing your shirt on it. This is what happened to Cisco with vBlock, and they pulled out last week out of this alliance after having spent and wasted $650 million. So, another one bites the dust. Well, it's a nice baseline. I like it, actually. They stole it from the group called Chic, from Good Times. And I hope you appreciate that I'm doing your storage and music education at the same time. All right, so let's talk a little bit about, what we are coming to the market with. We've been working with Flash for the last 6 years. We added Flash to a lot of our products, Engineered Systems, ZFS, Axiom Pillar. But now we are at the 6th generation of storage, Flash storage, and this time what we did is the daunting task of taking Flash technology and building an array from the ground for Flash, tightly coupled with the software stack of Oracle. And the benefit of that is the following. These are the major functionality that you can get out of an array like this. And let me take you through some of them. The first, most important one is quality of service. Okay? So normally, when you have a bunch of servers that are making requests to the storage array, there is no priority setting in the request. So a CFO is making a daily close, and just a clerk who's just checking something on a website will have the same priority. And we don't think this is good. I mean, it's a very democratic process, but like every democratic process, it's utterly inefficient. We at Oracle, we don't believe in democracy, okay? At least when it comes to I/O. We have a slightly different view on how we solve the problem. And it's much more like, it looks much more like your frequent flyer program. So for instance, you're a gold card member. Sir, please, get into the lounge. Can you have a glass of champagne? Or you prefer a martini? But if you are a regular flyer, we put you at the back of the plane. You'll be lucky if you get a glass of water. You'll be sitting next to the toilet, and the only extra will be the smell and the sound. That's how we treat I/O. All right? So basically, the way it works is you can define, based on a certain community, certain application, and certain time of the day, of the month, or whatever, what quality of service you want to give to that application. Okay? And then, through heat maps, we automatically tier the data. Automatically. I said, no labor work. Automatically tier the data. So we take the high priority data and we put it in performance flash. The next tier goes into capacity flash. Then it goes into performance disk and capacity disk. Then we take that lot and we put it into a domain. We put it into a domain, and when you have domain, that means that the workload of one domain is not impacting the workload of another domain. And then what we give you in addition to that is we give you 70 templates for all the Oracle application, eBusiness Suite, JD Edwards, PeopleSoft, Siebel, some of the GBO applications, even non-Oracle application like Exchange and VMware. We are working at the moment on a template for SAP so that you have nothing to do. You just put that template and all that automatic tiering is done for you. And if that's not enough, you can actually build your own template. So for instance, if you have a bespoke application, you can create that template yourself. The next very big area is this notion of compression. And anybody that has been working with Exadata is aware of this, because we work with hybrid columnar compression in order to make savings on the storage. Okay, so again, based on tiering and heat maps, we understand what data is frequently moving, so OLTP data, so we don't touch it too much. But as soon as you go into query intensive and archive, we compress it completely, and with this, there's big savings. So again, back to my discussion about the price of a petabyte, that's totally irrelevant in this case, because you may be using a petabyte, but here you only need 100 tera. Big, big savings on storage. The third one is the intelligent protocol. So that's a communication channel that a database uses to talk to the storage, to the Oracle storage. It's super efficient. And it's a bit like when you are in a Chinese restaurant and you place the order and they yell it back to the kitchen, and then your plate comes flying on your table within 5 seconds with the bill at the same time. It's $4.50. $4.50. What a bargain. When the database talks to a different appliance, a non-Oracle appliance, this is where you start to have communication breakdown, because they don't talk the same language. They don't understand each other very well. So basically you have the database saying, "Negativ, kamarad, I ordered vodka, you give me a martini." So think about it. If you are backing up your databases, use one of our backup appliances. They are much more efficient. And in that game, there's a very important community today, which are the DBAs. Because we made them very productive with enterprise managers and all those tools. But now, we make the storage look like an extension of the database. And they can manage the entire stack themselves. So they're gaining power inside of the account. A very important community for us, of course, at the detriment of the storage guys, which are much more the EMC and NetApp clan. So, we talked about the high-end part, so the high-end SAN products. There's also the Tier 2 backup appliance and Tier 2 workloads that you can also go with our NAS systems. And look at this, look at the speed at which you can do backup and recovery. And you need to question yourself, if you have a production database, a big production database, what is the value to the business if you can do a recovery of 40 tera within an hour? And these are the stats. Basically, it's 9 times faster, 3 times cheaper than anything else that is in the market. So why would you continue to use things that are not efficient? And this is where our Chinese guys go like, what a bargain. I told you. So, let's talk a little bit about this performance bottleneck that I mentioned at the beginning. We have now database 12c with multi-tenancy and all those new features. And Oracle is now coming to the market with this new strategy called software into silicon. After having engineered the whole stack, we're going one level even further down, right into the silicon. The new release of our M7 chip will have a database coprocessor directly onto the chip. So you're going to have the database that is flying like a bat out of hell working on silicon. And there's no way you can actually take this architecture and plug it against your existing systems because the storage is going to collapse. This is where you need, basically, our intelligent storage with all the advanced features I mentioned, auto-tiering and the intelligent storage protocol and all that stuff. And that is the ultimate combination. This is the very powerful combo to run Oracle workloads. And this is now the game, the simplification game that you can start to do in your data center. Because a lot of customers, basically, they use different vendors and different technology for different application and workloads. Okay? Something very common that you use in the high end, you use your VMAX or Extreme IO, and then for tier 2, you use some NetApp or other vendors. We can simplify this whole picture for you now. Basically, what you have is you can have an array that is highly scalable. It's a scale-out architecture. You can break it into domain, and then you can create, with quality of service, allocate the right resources to the right application. Big simplification in the data center. Now, let's talk a little bit about what I call the last line of defense. It's all about archiving now. Because, in a digital world, you have to store more and more data, and also because of legal requirement, you need to keep that data longer. And EMC has been going around letting you believe that tape is dead. Okay? Forget it, just put it on disks. You don't need tape anymore. And actually, this is wrong, because we are seeing a boom in our tape business again, for those particular reasons. And there's one more reason that is even more important, is that once you understood that past 90 days, 80% of your data is untouched, ask yourself a question. Why you want to keep it on spinning disk, occupying floor space in your data center, consuming electricity and cooling and all that? It's much better to put it on a cartridge. As you can see, very big savings here. So you need to start to invest in a data lifecycle approach, and using what we call a hierarchical storage manager, which allows you to do the steering, but at the same time let the application look at the tape like it's another disk. So it's totally transparent for the application. And this is how it looks, basically. And we recently did an acquisition of FrontPorch. FrontPorch was a leader is a leader in the area of television, media, etc. So basically, one of their applications is, if you are, for instance, providing video on demand, there's no reason to put this all on disk. So you put it on tape, and you put the first 5 or 10 minutes on a fast disk. And as soon as you start reading the disk, it goes and pumps the rest of the data into the storage array. Of course, big savings here. And all the big digital players like Google, Salesforce.com, Amazon have understood this, have understood the economy of scale, and are now investing massively in our tape technology as well. And by the way, look at this, because they call it the last line of defense, because if your data is corrupt somewhere on an appliance, you can recover from tape. Tape is physically detached. Nothing can happen to it. And of course, as I said, big savings around it, and also from a quality point of view, nothing beats the longevity of a tape. Okay? So we presented this to our European management team about 2 weeks ago, and a gentleman called Andrew Sutherland, maybe some of you know him, He's our head of technology for the whole of EMEA. He's a Scottish guy with a funny accent. And he said to me, JC, this is great. I understand, but how can we make tape look a bit more sexy? And I said, well, that's it. You know, it's the last line of defense. It's the ultimate protection. And he said to me, oh, you mean it's a digital condom? I said, not quite, Andrew. I'm not aware of people keeping their used condom for a long period of time after poom poom. If you understand what I mean? All right, so to our EMC guys, I think a big egg on your face, and it's time for you to move on and to rethink the whole equation, because tape is not dead. All right, so we are at the end of the day. Let me summarize so that you guys can go back home to your dearly beloved or be hated, depending on what kind of relationship you have with your partner. All right, so as I said, in a digital world, there's increased requirement for storage. I explained you that in detail. With application engineered storage, we are about to do to storage what we did with engineered systems to system. Okay? So coming with a radical different view to this market in order to massively simplify it and change the economy of scale around it. 12C and software into silicon are great opportunity for us and for you to start to revisit the way you've been using storage. Because we can help you to massively simplify your data center. And like Andrew says, you need to take a fresh look at the problem. That's it. Thank you very much.